Hello and happy Monday. Sometimes I wonder what I'm going to do these videos on, and then something happens in the day and I'm like, oh, that's a good subject. So today a friend messaged me and said that she'd been told to take calcium for bone health. And ladies over 50, we're probably going to hear that. You know, we're going to be told to take calcium for bone health. And I thought, I did a video on this once. I'm sure I did. So I looked back on my YouTube channel, and I think a couple of years ago, and I found this video, and it's like 19 minutes long. So that's way too long. So let me try and do the cliff notes on calcium and not take up 19 minutes of your time. So yes, anybody over the age, women over the age of 50, we're often told to take calcium because over 50, our bones are just going to shatter into a million pieces. Anyway, so the thing about, bones are made of calcium, so take calcium. You'd think it would make sense. What else? So yes, calcium for bones, but also calcium allows cells to communicate with one another. And calcium sits in two places. It sits inside the cell and it sits outside the cell. And we're actually meant to have a lot more outside of the cell. But what can happen is, and when we can be classed as deficient, is when the calcium gets stuck inside the cell. Well, what happens is calcium, it's not really good. It's not really easy to move it, and it needs other things to help calcium be transported to mobilize it outside of the cell. And the things that are really, we should have more of it outside the cell. Well, the things that will mobilize calcium are your vitamin D, your omega-3 fatty acids, your magnesium, zinc, K2, so often, although we're told to take calcium, maybe what we really should be taking is the transporters, right? So think about it. If calcium gets stuck in the cell, it can lead to a hardening of the arteries. It can lead to hypertension. If you think about high blood pressure, hypertension, what do they give you? They give you calcium channel blockers for high blood pressure, right? So you see that link. Also, that can affect, calcium getting blocked can affect cell turnover, and so we might be able to make a link there to cancer. It also will affect the insulin receptor, so there's a link there to diabetes. So sorry, I'm pausing there. That's all, calcium getting stuck within the cell. And we need to mobilize it with the omega-3 fatty acids, the D3, the K2, the magnesium. And often, magnesium and calcium are paired together in supplement form. And that is the reason why, because calcium just doesn't transport very well. We also need bile. So bile is what breaks down our fat-soluble vitamins, our D, E, K, and A. So if we've got a bile issue, then those fat-soluble vitamins are not going to be available, and they're the transporters. Oh, you can see the link, right? So you would obviously know if you didn't have a gallbladder, but if you suspect you have bile issues, and that can be bloating, and that can be right shoulder pain, apparently, for bile issues, then you might want to take a bile supplement, because again, bile will break down the fat-soluble vitamins, and they're the ones that help us transport calcium from the inside of the cell to the outside of the cell. I made a note here, stress and the stress hormone cortisol can also deplete your vitamin D. K2, very powerful. So K2 is a strong regulator of calcium. It actually takes calcium from the cell and pushes it into the bone, Whereas vitamin D will get calcium into the blood. It's the K2 that actually pushes it into the tissue. So that combination is really good. K2 is especially good for the soft tissue calcium. If you have a problem with soft tissue calcium, that's your bursitis, that's your arthritis, that's your kidney stones, it's your gallstones, it's your cataracts. So yeah, there's a lot of, we jump straight on the calcium supplement, but you see how important the transporters actually are. So if we talk about K2, supplement form, great. Anything grass-fed, your butter, your meat, your omega-3s, supplement form, or high-quality fish. Magnesium, fruit, vegetables. There's always a cat in my videos, huh? Hi! Jeez. So too much calcium, if you just start taking more calcium, but it's stuck inside the cell, it's not really going to help you, right? Again, high blood pressure, anxiety, I made a note here, insomnia, bone pain, cramps at night, they are all signs of those. Also, it might seem like it's asthmatic, but it's like a shortness of breath you can get when the calcium gets stuck. I'm looking up how much here. I'm going to get these numbers wrong. What? Okay. Okay, vitamin D, about 10,000 units per day. We'll get calcium in the blood. K2, about 100 micrograms. I made a note here. You know, we hear all about these alkaline diets and, alkaline this, alkaline that, and, I'm not too sure. But anyway, so if your body's too alkaline, it's not acidic enough, then we have trouble transporting that calcium. And that is, again, one reason that we would take apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar will help that transportation of calcium. And why do we take apple cider vinegar? We take it for high blood pressure, inflammation, and now you can see the link, right? The link with calcium will helps inflammation and high blood pressure. The elderly will benefit from apple cider vinegar because they generally have... Whoa! What? Man. But they generally have less acidity in their stomach. Oh my gosh. So why don't we just drink more milk, right? Isn't milk the answer to everything? And yet they did so many studies and they showed that when milk consumption increased, osteoporosis like tripled and things like this. There were studies in, oh my gosh, Greece and India and all over Hong Kong. Didn't seem to help. Now, one reason that Jason Fung talks about in a very interesting video, and he will say that, animal milk has got 3 times more protein than human milk. And if we get too much protein, that maybe we excrete it out. So maybe if we're guzzling that cow's milk, our body might be excreting it, and that might be one reason why the calcium in milk doesn't help us too much. But anyway, it's not the only sort of calcium, right? We can get calcium from our vegetables. Watercress is huge. So spinach, broccoli, all that good stuff. The type of calcium to take, again, don't take it by itself. Make sure you take vitamin D, omega-3s, your K2, zinc, magnesium. Sorry, I was almost forgetting that. The cheap calcium is calcium carbonate. It's cheap, don't take it. Not very absorbable. Spend a few more dollars and get the calcium citrate, which is a lot more bioavailable. Now I'm going to give a plug here, but it's not to me. My doctor, if you know me, you know I go on about Dr. Howard Elkin all the time. He's my cardiologist and doctor and very good friend. and I pick his brain a lot. And his website is www.heartwise.com. Now, he has a supplement called Bone Health. I think it's a pretty new supplement, and that will give you all the transporters that you need. But anyway, hopefully this information was useful, especially for you ladies over 50. A final note, because we're all so terrified we're just going to explode into a bunch of splintered bone fragments. If we lift weights, resistance training is the one thing that will strengthen our bones more than anything. And if you think back in the day where people were just living off the land, but we were all involved with very manual labor, there really wasn't such a thing as osteoporosis, or if there was, it was very rare. So people get active, lift big things safely, and use your foods to get the calcium and the transporters that you need. And if you need a little bit of help, it is calcium citrate, and it is vitamin D, it's your K2, magnesium, zinc, omega-3s. I hope that helped. Okay, later. And I hope that wasn't 19 minutes. What was it? Oh my gosh, it was still 11 minutes. Sorry about that.